That you remember? That you?
Tēnā koe, yes.
Yeah, that you. So it's like, it's a responsive kind of, oh, neat, all right. Oh, that's fabulous, or really cool. It doesn't literally mean that in Māori,
No,
but yeah, it's a contemporary take on it, eh?
Yeah. That's better.
Oh, that's better.
I was going to say you've got a full face now. Sorry. I'm hoping
Oh,
that
I thought you stood up. No, I'm only kidding.
Cynthia, do you want to run through those replies so we can hear them clearly?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, of course, the question is, well, it's a whole series of things, really.
Yes.
So it's morena, tēnā koe, or kia ora.
Yep.
Kei te pēhea koe, you follow it straight up. So, tēnā koe, kei te pēhea koe.
I see, yes. Yep.
It goes together.
Yes.
Ka nui te pai. Kei te ngengi. Or kei te ngengi ahau. I am tired. Kei te hia kai. Ahau. I am hungry. You don't have to have a ho, but kei te hia kai means I'm hungry. When's lunch? Yeah. Hoia no is quite an interesting response. It's around, it's sort of going on. So you can say, oh, ka nui te pai. Hoia no, it's kind of a gap. It's kind of a therefore. Hoia no, kei te hia kai ahau. So I am well, but I am hungry. Hoia no, you can use it as a connector. E hari ana te ngākau. Beautiful. I use that often.
Yes, that's a nice one.
Yes. My heart is happy.
Ngākau.
Ngākau. Yeah. Ka nui te ora. E ora pai ana. Yeah, that's a lovely expression. It's a beautiful, it's another nuance. E ora pai ana. So e and ana is ngā puhi. And te mutunga ke mai o te pai e hoa. Feelings and things are good, my friend. A longer expression, eh? Te mutunga ke, the ke gives it some lift. Te mutunga ke mai o te pai. E hoa means friend. Morena Kim, morena Robin. Morena. I'm just unofficially going through the list on the left-hand side when you get yourself all focused and looking at the list on the left-hand side of greetings. Greetings and responses.
That's great. That's useful.
Morena Paul.
Kia ora koutou. Kia ora.
Kei te pēhea koe?
Ai pai, a tāhua.
A tāhua te rā. Yeah, beautiful day. Aira, aira. A tāhua, the word is not up there, but it's a tāhua. The response that Paul has given me is beautiful. And he looked out, so I knew he was referring to the sun. So he actually didn't have to respond with the word rā, which is sun. But because of his action, I knew he was referring that the sun is shining. And a more advanced speaker, like myself, would say, "Ko whiti te rā," the sun has risen. Ko whiti te rā. Morena Edward, morena tēnā koe.
Kia ora, just pinning on my hearing aid so that I can hear you properly.
Kei te pai, kei te pai.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, kia ora. Morena Jackie, tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Yeah, just on the left-hand side, that slide, we're just having a few little discussion around how you might greet somebody. These are casual greetings. They're not, you know, they're not formal greetings. So they don't come with a great big, you know, tau parapara, what we call a tau parapara. So it might go, these are not used in those big speech making things. These are casual greetings.
Oh, I see.
And many of you know them already. So morena tēnā koe, kei te pēhea koe.
Kei te pēhea koe.
Kei te pēhea koe, how are you? That says. So they go straight after one another. If you say morena, kei te pēhea koe, you can immediately follow it up. And when you think about some of the English, you know, when we're using English, a natural habit that we use is, oh, morning, how are you? We do it all the time in English. That's exactly what that is. Morena, kei te pēhea koe. Exactly the same. Morena, Heather, tēnā koe.
Cynthia.
Nā koe. Kei te pēhea koe.
Kei te ora ahau.
Kei te pā, kei te pā.
Lovely. Engari, kei te hia kai ahau.
Ka hore koe i te kai te parakuhi.
Parakuhi. Nā, kaore. No, ko ki te puku. Ko ki te puku.
Nā nui te paon.
I'm always hungry. So hia kai ana hau tonu. Tonu means ongoing, ongoing. Always hungry.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
so those are good stock standard responses to go up to Māori. They'd be delighted if you went up to them and went, Morena, kei te pēhea koe, or tēnā koe. If you forget Morena, just remember the kia ora or tēnā koe. If you followed it up with kei te pēhea koe, which we do in English anyway. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Just remember that they go straight together. They're linked, not separated. And wait for their answer, whatever it might be. And then you can just respond by going, oh, kia ora. Kia ora.
Sit here, Mary. Yeah.
Oh, well, shall we press on and carry on our session officially?
Aira.
Welcome everyone. Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai, I tēnei zui e mihi ana. Tēnei koutou katoa, tēnei tātou. Welcome. We're going to do our Karakia. So this morning we'll go through this together. Then we're going to hear the Lord's Prayer in Māori. Because the focus is this, in Fijian, sorry, because the focus of our session is Te Pouhere, Sunday, Ratapu. So we've pulled out the Fijian Lord's Prayer. So we'll listen to that and then we'll finish with one of the other words on page 404. This is the day, I think it is. All right. So you can choose whether you stay online or muted. There's not many of us, so I think we'll be fine. Okay, let us take a moment as we come together. Grace and peace to you from God. Kia tau.
Kia tau, kia koutou. Kia te whai.
Me te nangi Māori. God fill you with truth and joy.
Ko e whakau ko te pono me te hari.
Amen.
This is the day which the Lord has made.
Ko te rā tēnā
Ke hangi e tau.
Anga e iho.
e hoa.
Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Kia
Ke hari,
Yeah.
ko tātou.
Amen.
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 Oh, thank you for that. And we'll hand it
That's
over.
lovely. That's lovely. Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai hoki mai ki te tātou zui o Taha Māori. Taha Māori. Pai ki te kite a koutou anō. Tino hari taku ngākau. Tino hari taku ngākau. Welcome back. Lovely to see you again. And you would have perhaps seen Megan's email yesterday. This particular session is based on just some of the Pouhere Sunday resources, given that this Sunday is Pouhere Sunday for our province. So let me just share the screen.
That's Rosemary.
So Pouhere, Pouhere.
Pouhere.
Oh, if we'd all like to mute ourselves, then we can record Cynthia clearly, please.
You're supposed to be on here, Jackie.
It's all right. I want you all at the one. So what does she want us to do?
Oh. I've done you, Jackie.
Everybody's muted. So te Pouhere. But said fast, it often sounds like te Pouhere. Established in May 1992. In 2018, I preached Pouhere Sunday at the Holy Trinity Cathedral in Parnell, and the reading that year in 2018, which marked 25 years of the Pouhere, was the first reading was taken from Isaiah chapter 42, verse 10. Sing to the Lord a new song, his praise from the end of the earth. Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the coastlands and their inhabitants. It's been 25 years since the birth of the Pouhere. 25 years of agreement that we are different. 25 years of tino rangatiratanga, or self-determination. 25 years of contextual mission and ministry. 25 years of celebrating a 3 tikanga church. And how do you think we are going? How do you think we are doing? Is it working? Is it what we wanted it to be when we dreamed it up? Does it promise something more in the future? And if so, what? What can we expect in the next 25 years? More of the same or something different? It has been my experience that by all accounts, each tikanga are doing their own thing in their own way. Rarely do we worship together or share our pulpits. We haven't learnt each other's hymns and could not competently deliver services in 3 tikanga languages. Some do better than others, and some are, let's say, less willing. So what does Pouhere Sunday 2018 poke us to do? Sing to the Lord a new song, Isaiah says. His praises from the end of the earth. Let the desert and its towns lift up their voice. So now I want to urge us to be more honouring of a Pouhere that has granted us tino rangatiratanga by interchanging ourselves much more frequently. I want to urge us to be more inclusive of each other's ministry to our congregations and those we worship with. I want to encourage us to stop working in tikanga isolation and not be mono tikanga anymore. Let's change our usual kaupapa to include each other in most aspects of ministry. Let's learn, grow, and bear fruit as one, not three. So that's a synopsis of the sermon that I preached in 2018 at the cathedral, which was fairly full at both services, the 8 a.m. and the 10. I posted it up on Facebook later that day, a synopsis of the sermon, pretty much what you've heard this morning. And one of the responses, I want to read this response to you because it's quite interesting. But it's also, it borders on maybe offensive, but bear with me. Don't take it personally. These are real thoughts of a real person in our midst. The last paragraph would indicate that the action suggested is for clergy rather than congregations. My experience is that Minita Māori, or minister, Minita's minister, Minita Māori are quite capable of presiding over a Pākehā service, but few Pākehā ministers are comfortable with leading in tikanga Māori services. The reasons are mainly because tikanga Māori has its roots in the Church Missionary Society, whereas tikanga Pākehā is based on the Church of England, brought by Selwyn. Two very different entities. Te Wairua Māori, which is the spirituality of Māori, and Te Wairua Pākehā, still Te Wairua, but different. Te Reo, beautiful to Māori, but difficult for Pākehā. The New Zealand prayer book, the services in two languages, but the presentation in two different idioms. Te Reo Māori Hahi, which is that speaks to the core of Māori Anglicans or Māori denomination, differs in practice for ministers compared with Te Reo Pākehā. Komiti Māori, or committees of Māori, differ from parish vestries. Diocese councils differ from hui amorangi in control of their ministers, etc., etc. That's the negatives, but 25 years is not a long time after 176 years of one dominating the other and the struggles to even get meaningful synod representation. The way forward may be to encourage more Pākehā participation in Māori congregations, for them to learn rather than being the teachers. Or alternatively, have joint ministry teams. Taringa, taringa's ear, the appendage on the side of our head. Whakarongo mai means to listen, and if you remember, mai is towards you. towards you. Whakarongo mai, listen. Pākehā ministers are mostly on stipends. How many Māori ministers can say the same? One tidies up the house before inviting visitors. Let's make sure our house is tidy. And he concludes with ka mutu te mihi. I've finished my spiel. That was a powerful response from a very learned person. And for some people, it hurts. And for some people, they get uncomfortable, including Māori. I'm not saying just Pākehā. Māori, I felt just slightly uncomfortable with it. But it's in the public domain, and this was said by a concerned person. I don't know the person personally, but I can tell by the way he's written, he knew the history, and he knew how it was going. We've touched on some of this over the weeks around, you know, the use of our reo, the excommunication of some Anglicans from the Anglican Church, the drift over to the Rātana Church because they wanted to use the language and were able to do so in the Rātana Church, but not in Te Hāhi Mihinari. Changes were made in the lead up. Some of you might be aware of those changes. Some of you may be interested and some of you may not be. I've certainly delved into that history personally through my studies. It was in my major. So we have come a long way, and I think the thing I wanted to really point out is we just need to do it more together. And I reiterate about, you know, tikanga bubbles. It's still very prevalent. And it works both ways. Māori don't invite Pākehā to come and preach. Māori don't invite Pākehā to come and sit in their congregations unless it's a really big something. Bishop Ross and Bishop Kittle, for instance, they do the renewal of vows. Yep, wow, we come together. And we come together well because we use both languages. So that's the ideal. So in May 1992, of course, the Pouhere was created to try and overcome some of these differences. 25 years down the track here, I still ask again, how are we doing? How are we going? I think Taha Māori is certainly an indication that we're onto it. We're onto it. Some of those first, you know, the steps to a long journey starts with first. Pouhere is guiding a pillar or post. The po is the one in the marae that holds the roof up. We've already been through that in previous session. Pouhere. I just wanted to sort of bring this one up. Here's our cross. I love this cross, designed by Ross Hemera. This is exactly how it's explained. If you go to our Anglican website, this is exactly how it's explained. I just want to elaborate a little bit on it, and I've used it in preaching at Pouhere Sunday a number of times. It symbolizes a church of three tikanga or cultural streams. And it symbolizes the strands. Because when you're weaving, you know, you've got this interlocking of strands. If you had one strand, well, everything's going to fall through. You can't hold anything with one strand. You hold two strands, okay, you might do okay. You might do okay. But if you have three strands, nothing's going to fall through. It becomes a vessel by which you can carry your food, or by which you can carry, you know, it's the imagery, it's the metaphor of having something that's strong that can be carried. And in this case, it's the gospel. It's the word. I love this. I just want to point out, you can probably see my mouse, my pointer, see that little red bit hanging off the cross. Now, this is only my take on it. There's nowhere written about this. This is my take on it. I included it in one of my essays and got an A. So it must have some credibility. I like to refer to that little red bit, what we call a tare tare, a little raggy bit that hangs off. Now, many of us know that when we have our best clothing on, all our vestments, whatever, the best jacket, our best dress, now and again you get a little thread that hangs off. And you think, oh, and often you'll pull it off. I do. I see that as a sign of our imperfectness. We're not perfect. You know, yes, that's the cross, but all those weaves and all those things that hold us together, we still have one little runaway, a little rogue bit hanging off. I think that's indicative of our church. I think it's indicative of humans. We're not perfect. But we can work at strengthening, but we'll always have that imperfectness. So I just wanted to point out that cross for you. Pouhere Sunday must look something like this, surely. It must look something like this. That's me hugging Carol Hughes. That was taken a number of years ago, but you can see the warmth in Carol's face. And mine is equally delighted. There's a gentleman behind us, his name is Alan. Hardly had much to do with a 3 tikanga event, let alone a 2 tikanga event, but look at the delight on his face to be there. It was a mixed, it was actually a general synod, and I was part of the team. But surely that's what it looks like, certainly in a bicultural level. This is some of the artwork in my, I'm a bit of an arty person. This is some of the artwork in my office. And it represents, it sits behind me, on the wall behind me in my office at Tuia, the General Synod office. It represents the 3 tikanga. People often laugh about it. So you've got the Māori one with the kete and the jandals and the you know, pounamu and the flax. And then you've got the Pākehā one with the glove and the little umbrella and the hats and the, you know, there's a little crown under here. And it's using English language, and Māori's using Kia ora, tēnā koe. And this one's Polynesia, with its flowers and, you know, its skirt and things like that. And that hangs in my office. And people love it. They come, they look at it and go, wow. It takes them a little while to figure it out that it's 3 tikanga. They're side by side. And they dominate the backdrop in my office. This was where I preached that sermon at, this was the 8 o'clock session at Holy Trinity. You'll see I'm wearing a piu-piu, what's called a piu-piu. Women normally wear them around their waist. I wear it as a korowai or cloak. I'm not keen on wearing traditional korowai. It's just a personal thing. But I will always wear a piu-piu as a korowai. It represents women, I think. It's just a woman thing for me. Women wear piu-piu, and I grew up wearing piu-piu, doing kapahaka. So that's just some of the shots in the Selwyn Chapel in 2018. This is Aotearoa Sunday, where I preached. Aotearoa Sunday again at the Holy Trinity Cathedral. This was celebrating 3 tikanga. On Aotearoa Sunday in the Maramataka, or the lectionary, actually only celebrates the pihopatanga, the establishment of the Māori. The pihopatanga. It doesn't celebrate New Zealand. It doesn't celebrate 3 tikanga. It actually only celebrates the pihopatanga and its establishment. So the people who, you know, decided to make it a special day in the lectionary, I think it's wonderful. So we, Kahui Wahine, or the women, ran yearly annual services. It sort of stopped a little bit, but it just hasn't got a driver. Anybody know where that picture on the right-hand side's from? Just put your hand up if you do, and if you do know, just unmute yourself. Yes, Edward.
It's Ohini Mutu in Rotorua.
That's at St. Faith's at Ohene Mutu, and if you sit in the little side chapel at Ohene Mutu, St. Faith's is really elaborately decorated. And if you sit down, Jesus is walking on water. And that's my graduation korowai on the left-hand side. So I just kind of wanted to, that's hanging in my office as well. So they're side by side. Jesus wearing my korowai. So moving on, I realized that time just ticks on, man. One of the resources that we thought would be helpful for you for Pouhere Sunday would be for you to be familiar with the collect. This is one of the collects. And many use it because the English is beautiful. I'm presuming you can see the English in small print up the top there. But I'll say it for you. E te kairaranga, ko koe te kaiwhatu, ko mātou te muka I mahia ai koe. Hang on, I just got to move all my little boxes. Ai e koe a te pouhere. Te whāriki whakakotahi I o mātou tikanga I Aotearoa puta noa. I te moana nui a kiwa. Nā tō ringa matau I whiriwhiri. E kitea ai te pāruhi o te hoa hoa. Me te tauira I roto I ngā rere kētanga o tēnā o mātau. Mā tōna kaha me te whakaro kotahi, te kaupapa e manaaki. Tai rawa ki tōna puāwaitanga. Whakamāharatia mātau, nau mātau I rāranga, mā tā mātau noho, kotahi, hei whāriki. E kitea ai tā hoa hoa, I roto I te kotahitanga, e kia nei ko te pouhere. Amen. Now, I know it's a lot, but I think if you were able to just incorporate one little sentence from the Pouhere and Te Reo Māori and do the rest in English, I tell you what, that'd be fantastic. That's honouring at least one other tikanga outside of your own. It might be whakamāharatia mātou. That's quite a lot. But even if you went to, say, on this slide, so you don't have to say the whole thing, you can go, remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design. But then you can stop there and go to the Māori, I roto I te kotahitanga, which means within the togetherness, within the oneness, e kia nei, we are ko te pouhere. So if you were to do all the English in this collect and finish with just that sentence where you get to but and go to I roto I te kotahitanga, e kia nei ko te pouhere. That's really, a huge, I think that'll be a huge thing for you just to finish on that. I was trying to figure out what might be the best part for you to say, but you make your own decision. I just think I encourage you, certainly. I encourage you to try and say one line, and that'd be a nice line to incorporate because you're saying but, and then when you go to the other language, it's like, oh, wow. For me, I get all warm and fuzzy. If I heard somebody saying that in Te Reo Māori, because it talks about that oneness. So we're not letting that little raggy bit on the cross dominate us on Pouhere Sunday. We're actually going to try and overcome that little bit hanging off the cross and be one as the Pouhere. So that's quite a sort of, you know, powerful little piece for you to practice. Shall we send them into breakout rooms? Do you want to go into breakout rooms and practice, or do you want to, what would you like to do, folks?
There might be enough of us just to stay as one group for this exercise. What do you think?
Yeah, there probably is. We are small enough, eh? Any thoughts about feeling, is there any discomfort about the thought of doing that little bit of Māori? Some of you might do more, but if you're struggling with the reo and you're feeling a bit fearful about it, then I've given you perhaps a minimum option. Kōrero mai. Edward.
Yeah, I think another way of saying what you just have said, and Cynthia, I think the thing that I've tried to learn is that it's a good idea to do a small amount of the reo well, rather than to try to do a whole lot and foul it up. You know, so one or two phrases that you've managed to do, and you've just offered us that lovely one from the end of that collect, is a great one. You know, learn one or two phrases and do those when you're comfortable with them, and then maybe a little later you can add a bit more. But
yes,
to do a small amount well.
I think the thing is, because we've spent a lot of time on the pronunciation, so I really feel that you've got the pronunciation, and the only way to overcome you know, that if you keep tripping over your tongue on the sounds and things like that, the only way to overcome it is you're just going to have to keep working at it, keep working at it. And because you already know the sound, there's no need for me to delve into that here. You've heard me say it. You know, you already know how to say this. I'm very confident about that. It's just a matter of you actually doing it in front of the people that you worship with. You worship them.
Can I just ask you, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm doing intercessions at St. John's tomorrow morning, and I just wondered if I could finish with this and just have that as the last piece for the.
Yes, you can.
You think that would
yes,
work out quite well?
Yep.
I'm sorry
Absolutely.
that Claire's not with me this morning because she's a bit better, but I'll show her the words in between.
Lovely.
I think we could.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To introduce.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. Yes, so whatever you feel comfortable with. I know it's quite a mouthful on a lot of it, but you know what you're saying. There's not a lot of difference between the Māori and the English. It's pretty quite accurate in its translation. Yes, Kim. Just need to unmute yourself. Yep.
Yeah, I'm listening to you speak in Te Reo, and having been exposed to Thai language, I'm also aware of the tonal, the tune that you use, which I haven't got my ear around yet. You seem to have a kind of a lilt in the way that you pronounce the words, and I haven't quite grasped that yet.
Thank you, Kim. I think one of the recipes that I would possibly encourage you to use if you are going into the public domain, so practice at home at whatever, you know, without the lilt, as it were, practice at home. But once you go into the public domain, just slow it down. That's the key. Don't try and say it quickly and get it out of the way. I mean, I'm not suggesting that that's what you'd be thinking, but it's very different to English because, and I've told you this before, it's poetry, it's storytelling. So when you read poetry, if you read it out loud, I'd be very surprised if you had the inclination to read it really fast. You would ponder on the words, you would hold the words. And I think because you know what you're saying, so the word, te kotahitanga. Kotahitanga is oneness. So I think that might be helpful, Kim, certainly around that lilt that you're talking about. In the public domain, slow it down. Even I do, but I slow down my English as well. I really do. So when I preach that, that sermon, whenever I preach, actually, I slow it right down. So I have a tendency, I have to cut it back from, say, 3 pages to 2, because if you're speaking slower, you can't be speaking slowly on 3 pages. You need to cut it back. So that might be helpful. Just slow it down. Know what you're saying. Choose the phrase. Know what you're saying, and treat it like poetry, because it is like poetry. Telling a story. And whakaaro, that word there, whakaaro, it's thoughts, it's pondering. Manaki, oh, beautiful word. Manaki is like, to support something, to be behind something, to get in behind something, and you really believe in it. You really want to support that person. You really want to support te pouhere and what it means. What does it mean? Te kotahitanga of 3 strands. And so when you, that's a little hint. Slow it down, and that'll help you with some of the lilting that you referred to, Kim. And you've heard me say many times, it's that lilt. Makes a huge difference to the way in which it's received, how people receive it. Not just Māori, just people. And you know what? If other people hear you say it, they'll go, oh, gosh, heck, I never thought to slow it down. Or I never thought, I always say that so quickly. Gosh, it sounds much better slowed down. If you can influence somebody by demonstrating it in your own ministry, I think that's a great thing. And people hear me do it, and then they think, oh, gosh, heck. So there's a Māori speaker, and it sounds lovely. It's flowing. It's like the moana, it's got to flow. There's no stopping and starting unless it's a haka. It's not sharp. It's really, yeah. Any other thoughts about, is there a particular line you'd like to practice? Would you like to have a go at that last piece that I've recommended? Or, yeah, Megan's nodding.
Yes, I think that would be helpful.
Let's have this is one of the, here we go. That one. So what's our time? Okay, so we're not in breakout rooms. Why doesn't somebody put their hand up and say the English and then go into the Māori at that point where I suggested it? Can somebody do that for us?
Could I try, seeing I'm hoping to do it on Sunday?
Yeah.
Do you want us just a little bit of English and then the...
We'll go through it. If you go, remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design. But, I roto I te kotahitanga.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design. But I roto I te kotangatanga e pia ne ko te pouhere. Amen.
Lovely. Lovely. Well done.
Thank you.
Very good.
Did
Just practice.
Was that going to be all right about the right speed? Thank you.
Perfect. Just practice it before Sunday.
Yes.
And it'll flow out more. Yeah, and it's going to be harder when you stand up and do it. I know that. But just remember to slow down. And so by the time you get to that second E, the I,
Yes.
I roto. By the time you get there, remind yourself, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else want to have a go? Thank you, Liz. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
Remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design, but together we are the Whaariki te Pouhere. Amen. Whakamaharatia mata, na mata I raranga a. Mata mata noho kutahi hei whariki. E kitea ai tau hoa hoa. I roto I te koutahitanga. E kiane ko te pouhere. Amen.
Well done.
That was good.
Well done, Liz. Yeah, your flow is good. Your flow, it is. It's really good. Just one little critique for you. Just remember the O. Try and not pronounce the O, yeah, in the English way.
Ho.
Or. So, yeah, O-R maybe is the phonetic way. Or. O-R, yeah. Or. Roto. Kotahi. Yeah, but your flow is good. Beautiful, very confident. Wow. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, bit of practice, and you'll get better and better and better and better.
Can I just clarify, just Cynthia, if you're going to do the English first, remind us you have woven us to your design, would you use the word but, or would you go straight into I roto I te kotahitanga?
Yeah, probably. There isn't a word in the Māori, but actually is engari. It's a word.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a word. But we don't, if I was doing it, I would go engari, I roto I te kotahitanga.
I put engari in.
Yeah, you can if you wish. That's okay. So you can go to reveals your design, engari. So you're still saying but, even though it's not written.
Mm-hmm.
It's not blasphemy.
And then you go to I
roto I te kotahitanga. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll have a go then.
Good.
Remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design. Engari, I roto I te kotahitanga, e kia nei ko te pouhere. Amine.
Oh, lovely.
That was very good.
Lovely. Yeah. Gosh, aren't you getting the hang of it, Robin?
Thank you. Was that too fast? It's all right. Okay.
Sounded okay to me.
Sounded good.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Really, really good. Can I ask you, Robin, since you've been doing Taha Māori, has your reo pronunciation improved?
I think so, yeah. Especially, I was always never knew how to do the AUs and the OUs. You know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'd sort of skate over those ones, but now I just realize you just got you just use the sounds and yeah, just put them together. Yeah,
lovely, because you can hear it in your pronunciation. So doing that, and it is again practice.
Yeah, I started this when I was at Teachers College a long time ago, so it sort of been in and out, but not a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is probably a good little piece to practice on. It's not too much pressure on you, but it does introduce, another tikanga language at your service on Sunday. Anyone else want to give it a go?
I'll have a go.
Okay.
Remind us you have woven us so that no strand by itself reveals your design. Engari, I roto I te kotahitanga, e kia nei ko te pouhere. Amine.
Lovely, Heather.
Kia ora. Kia ora.
Lovely. Well done. Your handle on the reo is really, really good. The engari, you know, both of you and Robin using that engari. I know that ng is hard. But no, lovely. Pronunciation is good. Flow is good. Confidence. Wow. Both of you, you know, all of you. All of you. Confidence. Liz, confident. Lovely. Okay, so there's your challenge. You know, what can we expect in the next 25 years? We're taking those steps now. And I thank you. I thank you for being willing to do that. You better hope Megan doesn't come up with the idea of bringing in Pacifica next year. By crikey me, you're going to be in trouble. They got how many languages? They got 7 languages. Even I'm having trouble. I've only just learned the Lord's Prayer, but in Fijian, I've only that's it. That's it. So I too have some work to do as well to honour our third partner, Tikanga Polynesia. But they're so gracious, of course, you know, there's no insistence or anything like that. And I hope to have some recordings of them up on the website in the next 12 months. That'll help us. You're all shy about it at the moment, but I'm very persuasive. Oh, sorry, yes, Edward.
Yeah, and the other thought I would just want to throw in to encourage people who are sort of trying to put their toe in this water a bit is that I think a change that has happened over the last 25 years. I mean, I was on General Synod in 2002 when it was decided to institute the Pouhere Sunday. And when you're part of General Synod, that feels like an easy decision to do because you're dealing with the 3 tikanga all the time and it feels so obvious. At that time, I had people walking out of services in my church in Tauranga if I used a phrase in Te Reo. There was positive opposition to it. Well, the thing that has changed now, I think there's still resistance, but the resistance is more an embarrassment. We don't know how to do this. We'd like to, but somebody needs to tell us how to, and in that context, it's much easier for us if we're brave enough to give it a try, to have a go and learn how to do a little bit well and listen to Cynthia and other wise people telling us how to, and you know, let's just have a crack at it and do it, and a little bit more we can do, then do a little bit more the following month. And,
Thank you, Edward. That's right. Absolutely right. I have to say, I've you know, in some of the sermons that I've preached over the years in the Māori churches, they get a bit of a hiding from me, Tikanga Māori, because they need to create a medium. They need to create a space, a more welcome space and a more gentle space to do what you've suggested, Edward, around, you know, get your Pākehā friends together, make the time, do a wānanga, go over to Vaughan Park, catch up in your church halls, but spend the time with them and help them, enable them, empower them to use the language. Don't say, oh, why don't you go and learn the reo? Well, how helpful is that? So I have to say, Māori have had a hiding from me about creating a more welcoming environment around and a more empowering environment. So it's something I've been doing for a long time, certainly since I've been in Te Hahi Mihinga. Is interacting with another tikanga. I get on very well with Tikanga Polynesia as well. So it is about interacting and relationships, building trust and a gentle way in which people can ask questions, or like, you know, I delivered this morning that response on Facebook. You know, that can hurt a lot of people. And to have someone say that to your face might be very, very cutting and very hurting. Well, are you likely to come back? Well, probably not. Well, did you get anywhere with all those sort of comments? Well, probably not. I'm not saying that his comments weren't constructive. They were, but it's easy to offend, can I say. So I prefer a gentler approach, and if I can't help you, then I'll at least try and find somebody who can help you. And say, you owe me one. Don't you owe me one? Excuse me, do you owe me one? So I pull on some favors from way back to help me enable and empower. Certainly. And this is so we can use the liturgy. Wow, it's really cool. So we didn't do that. That's okay. We've had that. Oh, yes. What's our time? Yeah, it is. It's that time, isn't it? Gosh, we run out of time. But if you wanted to, I mean, you know this hymn. Yeah, and I mean, this was a hymn that I chose because it is one that we use in the Māori churches as well. We don't necessarily sing the English, of course, but I do encourage them to sing the English because some people don't know they're all that much. But it is about being one. Kotahitanga. We are knitted into one. And they've taken me into their heart, whether it's a Māori in a Pākehā church or a Pākehā in a Māori church or in a Polynesian church, they've taken me into their heart. It's not just a pew sitter, it's about the heart. And so one of the things I said at the Anglican Missions Board conference, that was where the Fijians were singing the Lord's Prayer. That was at the Anglican Missions Conference, of which I'm a member on the board. I challenged all of them at the conference about, you know, don't just don't keep welcoming Pākehā people to your marae or to your church, and that they're always a visitor. When do they become part of the family? At what point do we let them be part of our family? And I remember saying at the conference, if you're a Pākehā visiting a marae, when you get, and you've been there several times and they've given you a pōwhiri and they've done the mihi and they've done all of that, so to me, you're no longer a visitor. In fact, if you were where we have a cup of tea, I'm likely to throw you a tea towel. That's when you become part of the family. You can go on a marae and you're allowed to go and do the dishes. Well, only family do that, don't they? Not your visitors. So, yeah, that was one of the things I challenged the whole of that conference. And a couple of bishops came up to me afterwards and said, Pākehā bishops. And he says, oh, I love what you said. I love what you said. I said, are you any good on a bucket, Bishop? This was Bishop Eleanor, Bishop Richard Eleanor from Nelson, retired now. You any good on a bucket and a mop? And he said, yes. Yes, I am. I said, good. Next time you're at a hui that you've been to before, tell them, no, I want to go and help clean up. That's how you break down that division. And Māori have to let you. It's not a one-way thing. Māori have to let you be a part of the family. Anyway, nō reira. Let's, you know this hymn. You can see my maestro over here. I'll tell him to give me a chord. E aroha ana ahau, ki te whana te atu, e whana kuhine, taku koa te tahi o tene whana. I love this family of God, so closely knitted into that
They've
taken
taken me
into their
their
heart,
heart,
and
and
I'm
so glad to be
a
a
part
part
of
of
this
this
great
great
family. Now, I know I had some actions last week. We'll come back to that another time. So here's the dismissal from the 476. You might want to use this also at Pouhere Sunday. Would someone lead that dismissal, and then we'll all respond?
Lead if you like, I'll give it a go.
Yep, thank you, Paul.
Haere I runga I te aroha. Haere I runga I te rangi Māori.
Amen.
Haere mātou I runga I te ingoa o te karaiti. Korobe.
Lovely, lovely. So there ends, I think, I'm pretty sure, yeah. There ends our session. Thank you, everybody. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Ngā mihi aroha kia koutou. Ngā mihi nunui kia koutou katoa mo tēnei wā. Bless you, and I hope all goes well for you at Pouhere Sunday. I'm preaching in my own parish on Sunday. It'll be, I don't normally stay in wherever it is I normally look after, as it were. So it's because we've just come back. So it's nice to be with them and preaching Pouhere Sunday. Go well. Reire te whānau te karaiti, tēnā koutou katoa.
Thank you, Jacinta. I'm sorry I won't be here
Kia ora,
next week.
Megan. I'm handing it back to you.
Yep. No, thank you all very much. I hope it's been a rewarding session. Are we available to stay online for a few questions if possible, Jacinta, or not? Are you happy with that? Just for 5-10 minutes at the most, if anyone's got some
If
questions
you
wanted to ask. Thank you for attending this session, and we'll get the recording put up in place, and hope you've all been able to access all the YouTube playlists that I've made up, so you can use them in your ministry. So ka kite anō, everyone. Anō. And we'll see you next week for the last week in this session. And we'll do some revision. Okay? Anyone? Okay? Anyone else got anything to say?
Yeah, I've got a question, Jacinta. Going back to the opening prayer that Megan led us in this week and last week, essentially what she was doing as leading was
English,
saying the English words, and we were saying essentially the same words back to her rather than responding. Now, is that? I can see the value of us doing it so that we all have the experience of learning those words. But does that actually feel like a good way to introduce something, to have people actually repeating what's essentially the translation of what you've just said to them, rather than saying a meaningful response?
Yeah, I know and I think when people are learning the liturgy, I think it is helpful to have the English and the Māori running at the same time, because then they know what they're saying. I think it's about familiarizing people with the text, with the Māori text. So yes, grace and peace to you from God. How do I say that in Māori? Kia tau kia koutou. So certainly while you're learning, yes. And then if the people that you worship with or you're ministering to become more confident around it, then you should say kia tau kia koutou. You shouldn't use any English at all. And then they should respond with the Māori. But it's only as good as what the people you're ministering to, I think. That's just a personal view. Otherwise, you leave them behind. They start thinking, oh, it's all too much. It's all too much. I don't know. Where are we? I'm lost, you know, especially if you're using a book. They get lost. And Māori do too, by the way. You take the book away, They're lost. They've been doing the 476 since 1992. But you take it away and or the PowerPoint goes down. That happened in Holy Sepulchre recently. They had it all up on the screen, been up on the screen for quite some time. No more books. See it, Paul. Oh, no.
Yep. I just had an experience I thought I'd like to share with you, just on possibilities when we enter that space of, you know, encounter from the heart. You shared this expression with me last week, mahi tika ana, and I wrote it down and I thought, wow. And then my dog wanted me to take him for a little walk, and just down the road there's this marakai next to the church.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I went down there, and a friend of mine was there with another guy, and they were digging this garden. It was looking really good. So I says, oh, he mahi tika ana, you know.
Wow.
So, this guy replied to me in te reo. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, oh. But it was lovely. And then,
wow.
And then he says, why are you learning te reo? And I said, well, I think for me, it's about justice, you know, and honoring and respecting tangata whenua. And he was really, really moved, you know, and it led to this beautiful conversation. And I said, yeah, and I mentioned about doing the karanga for the communion. Yeah. And he says, oh, that's usually a woman's job. And I said, oh, my teacher said it was okay for men to that's right. And I said I was fully in touch with my feminine side, so that's okay. And he thought it was quite a beautiful. And then he talked about tūmataunga and the God of Peace. Rongoa. Yeah, and about how that kind of spiritual dimension is open for deep encounter and exchange. And so that was quite beautiful. So I wanted to thank you for that he mahi tika ana and what it led to, you know, so kia ora.
Because you're complimenting them, eh? It's a compliment. And yeah, and if they're working, yeah, I think that's magic. What a beautiful story. I love that. It connected you to them and it connected them to you.
Aye.
Just those 3 words. Mahi, tika. Work, tika, good, ana. So working, good working. Present. Fabulous. What a great story. Yeah, gee, yeah. And I think I've already told you fellows that you are going to get people that will say to you, oh no, only women do the karanga. Don't be. There was a good response, really. And if anyone has a problem with it, they can contact me at any time. We're not talking marae. We're talking church. We're talking hahi. So there are some things that they just need to let go of. I just think it doesn't matter who welcomes them to the Lord's table. Mm-hmm. We need to be inclusive. We need to stop the separatism too of women and men. Particularly in the church, that's the right place to demonstrate that we are inclusive of both men and women, clergy, laity. So good on you. Yeah, that was a great response. Anyone else have a question going forward? Anything on Pouhere? I think you know the history of all of the Pouhere, eh? So.
Yes, that has been very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. And what can we look forward to? Just if you can take something away from our session today, just remember my my sermon. See you, Paul, around what can we expect in the next 25 years? Well, it's less now, 23 years. More of the same? Or are we going to make a difference? Is this the time for us to actually make a difference? And I believe it is. This certainly Taha Māori is one way. Mm-hmm. Here you are and you've been vigilant. You keep coming, you keep coming. What does that say? It says you desire to deliver something different. Mm-hmm. In terms of kotahitanga, in terms of honouring the Pouhere. You're saying your desire to come and learn the liturgy and the reo, and some of the storytelling that I've shared with you tells me personally, and those that you share this story with, that you are willing to do something different in the last 25 years. Amen.
Thank you.
Bless you all.
Kia ora, kia ora.
And I'm blessed by it too, by the way. This is not a one-way thing. This is not you, just only you getting the blessings. I'm getting the blessings too. Because here you are with me, kotahitanga. You know, being able to be honest, loving, caring, gentle, listening, all those things that are in the Beatitudes, really, with each other. Oh, I'm all warm and fuzzy now.
Thank you.
So yeah, as Megan said, next week's our last week. That'll be a lot of time for us to just be and talk about summary, you know, and Megan and I are certainly, you know, thinking about, you know, talking about Pouhere and what's next. Well, her and I are talking about what's next. So next time I see you fellas, I'm going to sneak into your pews one day, don't forget. I'm going to slip into your pews one day. And then I'll hear you say, "Ete whānau ate karate," or I'll hear you say, "Haere mai." Haere mai te kahui o te atua. Oh, I would just, yeah, lovely.
Thank you very much. I won't be here next week, Jacinta, but I'll be
Okay.
thinking of you, and I look forward to catching up again later.
Thank
you
you
very
Jennifer.
much. I've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
the session.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Ka kite anō. Ka kite.
That's it. Thank you.
Bye.
Ka kite ana.